Hi, good morning, everyone. For everyone who has been waiting patiently and those just joining, I'd like to thank you. My name is Alex Schnicki. I'm the marketing director here at TriStar. I'm here with Cody Wiltrout, Associate Presales Technical Specialist from PTC. And today he's going over a powerful extension for the PTC Creo in just a moment. I have included a white paper with further information, and a copy of this recording will be available shortly after the webinar. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask and just leave them in the chat. There'll be a brief Q&A at the end of the session. Thank you again, Cody. I'm going to pass it along to you. All right,
there we go.
You are.
Thank you. All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started here, sharing my screen here. Sharing screen, and we want monitor 1. All right, so can you confirm you can see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Well then, hello everyone, my name is Cody Wiltrout. I'm with PTC's Virtual Center of Excellence based about 45 minutes outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'll be going over a design exploration extension for Creo today. Hope you all enjoy it, and as you said earlier, if there are any questions, feel free to type them in the chat or ask at the end. All right, I'll go ahead and get started then. So as a little bit of background, some challenges that really led to the creation of this extension and why it's important for PTC and for Creo in general. Often whenever you are trying to explore design options, you try out ideas for the next version of a product. And you say, okay, let's perform some significant changes. And maybe it's a pretty complex design, so that can be difficult. And you don't want to lose your last version that you had because you're not sure if the next design is going to be right. And you evaluate different concepts for your designs, and you incorporate maybe some of those into the official design, but this isn't necessarily an easy path to get to. You end up often with backups and duplicate models in a lot of different folders, and you have multiple of those, so you have to keep track of which version is the original version, make sure you can find the versions that you're working with currently, and you end up repeatedly closing, clearing sessions, reloading different design versions, which all takes up your time that you don't necessarily want to be doing that with. Along with that, you end up taking a lot of screenshots to use for design reviews. You can show the different versions you've made through those screenshots, but it's not necessarily very interactive. And if you do want to interact, again, you have to have some form of organization to be able to go back and quickly find those versions that you've made to look at those. This also means that you're manually identifying your design changes that you do want to carry forward with your real version, whatever your standard steady state version is that you want to keep moving forward with. You have to make sure that you can incorporate those changes in, which might mean that you go back and do some rework as well, which obviously isn't something that you want to be doing, which is what led to PTC developing the solution with the design exploration extension, which allows you to easily explore all of your design options without having to save off multiple copies of your file here and keep them in different spots so that you can keep track of all of them. It helps to streamline that process. So some capabilities that this extension has and brings to the table is, first off, you can snapshot the entire session content. So you start with whatever version of your model it is that you're working with, and you're going to take a snapshot of that, and then you're going to start working off of that snapshot. And it can then capture the incremental changes from one version to the next. So rather than saving off a bunch of different versions of the model, it's just going to save the difference or the change from one to the next, so you can easily switch between those. This means that you can instantly toggle between the different checkpoints that you create. So if you're in a design review and you say, hey, well, let's look at this other one instead, you can switch to it very quickly, very easily, and be able to interrogate that model. And once you're done and you think you've found the right solution, you can choose to accept those changes and move forward with that model. If instead you don't like any of the checkpoints that you've made, you don't like any of the designs that you've created, you want to go back, that's fine. You can revert back to the snapshot that you had at the beginning of the session, so you don't have to worry about losing any of your work. Some further capabilities is it allows you to split into different directions, so you can actually branch off from multiple points and create a lot of different directions for your designs, not just necessarily one linear direction. You can also develop multiple ideas at the same time, kind of along with that branching directions. You don't have to stick to one direction or one idea. You can do a few ideas at once and be able to look at them both at this, be able to toggle between both of them, I should say, and see which idea you think is better, which means that you can evaluate all of your options before really making a decision on what the best design is. And so we can see an example of that here, being able to branch into different directions until you decide which one is the final version that you want to go with. Now that covers the brief high-level intro. I'll go ahead and jump into the demonstration. All right, so we're going to be working with a razor for today's demonstration and just going to be looking at some of the design options that we might want for this. So we can see we have our surface here built out and we want to generate this in here. See, we have some black buttons, all the work's done basically, but we want to make some design changes. We want this to be, as aesthetically pleasing as possible and as user-friendly as possible for whoever's buying the razor. So we're going to look at some different options for our designs. So to start that, we come into File, Manage Session, choose Design Exploration Session, and then we could choose to start, or you can actually open up old ones, so you can save your Design Exploration Session and open those back up. So we'll go ahead and start a new one here, and you can give all of your checkpoints and the exploration session itself a name and a description so that you have an idea of what's happening at each one of those. So we'll just start by making some cosmetic changes here. Maybe we want it to look differently, see if that would give it a better feel for the user. So we'll change it from being black to say, maybe I think it would look better with blue, and maybe I want to add a chrome color instead of the black up here, make it a little bit more sleek looking. So we'll go ahead and select all of the parts that we want to change and change that to chrome. And now we've got, similar razor, but new look, general type of thing that you would do whenever you're exploring designs. Rather than saving this off as a new model, we're just going to add this as a checkpoint, say blue chrome. We can add a keyword if we want to be able to find it quickly. So we'll say blue, and we'll add that as a checkpoint. So now we've added our first checkpoint from our original version to our second version, but let's go ahead and keep working. Maybe this does look, pretty nice, but maybe we think it might look better even in different colors. So why not explore those? Let's look at what it might look like instead if we made it red, see if we think that looks better. So we'll go ahead and change the color to red. We can change some of the paint on the button as well, whatever we want to do, and then say, hey, now let's add another checkpoint. Now we've got a red version of this. So we'll say red chrome, and we can add again keywords. In this case, we'll do red. From here, maybe we want to make some changes to the actual handle for the razor itself. It's pretty good design right now, but maybe we want to change some things around the button or around the sides, whatever it is. You come in, do your normal Creo work, and save off those changes as the next checkpoint. So what we're going to do for here is we're actually going to go ahead and add a bump here next to our button, maybe make it a little bit easier for the user to be able to rest their thumb up towards the top on the razor by that button. Simple change, but again, these are the type of things that you might be looking at when you're trying to look at your options for what designs you want. So we'll go ahead and regenerate our model now with that updated bump on our button here. And we can see that added in there right for the base, so you can pull the button down, rest your thumb on that. So we're going to again now add a new checkpoint. We've made some more changes, and you can choose when you want to set these checkpoints. Maybe you want to make a few changes before you set a checkpoint, or maybe you want to do it a little bit more like this, incremental, each change, make a checkpoint. It's up to you and how you want to go through that. Now, if we want to go back and say, oh, I'd rather look back at the blue, I really like the blue, that's fine. You just click on the blue, choose to activate that point, and we can go back to the blue version instead. So we can see we don't have that button hump that we added, still in blue instead of red, but now let's make some changes in the blue one. Maybe rather than adding, the lift up towards the button on this side, we want to add some grooves along the side of our model to help give whoever's holding it some places to grip along the razor. So we're going to come in, again, do your normal work that you're doing. In our case, we're going to use freestyle here just to make some quick surface changes, and then see how that looks, compare it to our other options, decide if we've really got the best version or not. Now that we've added in our surface changes there, we could maybe shorten up on the button at the top as well, make it look for slightly different view and different look than the other versions. Now that we've made our changes, again, we can come back in, regenerate our model, see how that looks differently now with those added bumps. And this is also where you could choose to do branch offs as well. So now that we're working some changes into the blue chrome, we could do a branch off of blue chrome, and we could choose to do a branch off of red chrome as well. So with the blue side, we've made some changes to the grip, but on the red side, we've made some changes to the button. So now let's go ahead and start making a branch off from that red one that we've already started with. So maybe we want to make some changes to the button layout this time instead. So rather than just adding a bump, we actually want to choose how those buttons look, maybe move that around a bit. So again, we'll just come in, do some quick, simple design changes, say, hey, we're going to shift these buttons around and see how that looks with the red chrome. And again, what's the beauty with this is you can always choose to undo these. If you don't like what you've changed, that's fine. This gives you the freedom to explore those options, see if you do like it. If we think this looks better, great, let's go with this. If we don't, that's fine. We can always go back to our pre-modified or to any of the other checkpoints that we've made. Now that we've regenerated our model here with those updated button layouts, we're going to actually add another checkpoint here off of the red buttons here. And so what we're going to see is that now we're getting into a little bit of that branching that we talked about during the PowerPoint. The button wave at the bottom for 4 is the latest checkpoint, but we don't have to go off of that. We can add the 5th checkpoint under the red chrome, and we could keep going in that way, and it's going to branch under the red chrome. Or we could go back to the button wave and start making more checkpoints off of that. So you have the freedom to branch and go in whichever direction you want. In this case, we might even want to switch out the button completely. So we'll get rid of the old button, open up a new button, and bring that in here and see how that looks. So you have that option to be able to bring in your different parts or options for your assembly, see how it looks, add it as a checkpoint, be able to easily toggle between those in, for example, a design review, be able to actually interact with the model, show those different options and versions and what you want. And what we're showing right now, pretty simple, mostly just color changes, some button changes, a few surface changes, but you can get more complex if you want. You can make bigger changes if you want. You still have that capability of being able to switch between those, go back to your pre-modified version if you don't like those large changes that you made. Now we're going to go ahead and save our exploration session. So this is a TMU file, which is saving that delta or the change between each of the different checkpoints. So you don't have a file folder with 20 different models and you have to keep track of which one is which. You just have that one TMU file. You can open that up, view the different checkpoints, and decide which ones you like. Once you have found one that you like, you can choose to accept that here, or if you don't like it, you could choose to exit out and go all the way back to your original version. And just like that, you can activate the different points again. So if I wanted to go back to my entry checkpoint, I could activate that, look at that. I think it does look good in black, but maybe I think it looks best with the blue chrome. So we could go ahead and activate that again and then come down, just choose to accept that. And it's going to take you back into your Creo session to do back to your normal work. And so just like that, we are able to explore a lot of different options for how we want this razor to really look and what we want it to be able to do. And if we wanted to, we could start a new exploration session from here, or we could open back up our old session and keep working from there. So you have a lot of options in how you want to work through your design exploration, as well as what you want to do after you're done with that. To kind of close off here, I have a few more PowerPoint slides to go through. Some value that this extension can bring to a team is that, number one, it facilitates creativity. You don't have to worry about making changes to your design because you can always go back to that original version. You don't have to worry that you make a mistake and it's going to ruin your model or anything like that. And you also don't have to, worry about making multiple copies when you do that. This also means you can evaluate all of your possibilities as opposed to just a few. Make sure that you've got the best options you want. Make sure it looks the best way it can. And that means you can have more interactive design reviews. You don't necessarily have to take screenshots because you don't have to worry about having 30 models open on your computer at a time. You just open up the exploration session and you can easily toggle between all of those different checkpoints, get feedback, interact with the model, see what people really think about it. So that covers, at a high level, the design exploration extension inside of Creo and its capabilities to really allow you to have the freedom to explore your ideas without having to be cluttered down by all that can entail.
Excellent. Thank you, Cody. We did have a question. I don't know if you can see it.
I do not see it in the chat. It looks like I can only see messages from you.
Brian asked, how do you get to the design exploration part? He doesn't see it in the Creo options.
The design exploration part, well, you would open up your exploration extension by going to File, Manage Session, and then under there you would open up the session, and then you would create your checkpoints and things from inside of there and could toggle between the checkpoints if that's what you mean. There's not a specific part that necessarily goes to the design exploration, but if you're looking to access your design exploration, you go File, Manage Session, and then you can choose to open or start a new session.
Okay, great. Doesn't look like we have any other questions. Thank you everyone for attending. Enjoy the rest of your day. And Cody, thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope everyone enjoyed the demonstration. Give you some time back to your day. Hope you all have a wonderful day.
All right. Take care, everyone.